Hey everyone. So, as I was making my reviews for Survivor Borneo through HVV, I realized that there was actually a little bit of territory that I needed to cover with the US version of Survivor because if you look at the rankings that I post or discuss at the end of every finale video for an American season that I've reviewed, you'll notice that I rank every season after HVV, but I only started making videos on this channel for Survivor One World onward, but One World in Philippines, I didn't even discuss half the season, whereas every season after Philippines, at most, I only missed 2 episodes. So I've come to the realization that I actually need to make an addendum to those other videos where I discuss Nicaragua through Philippines, even though many of you already know a good amount of my thoughts on those seasons after watching them. Right. So, jumping into Nicaragua here, I'm with the crowd in that it wasn't that great a season of Survivor, especially after, you know, how HVV made a lot of us do, even though, as I said, I have a love-hate relationship with HVV. I don't call it 100% as bad as a lot of people did, because Dalton Ross has said that this was his least favorite season of Survivor for a very long time, whereas I thought it was kind of interesting, even though several people made me go, oh my god, you're just acting so stupid, and some decisions were kind of, because getting rid of Kelly B, it just... I don't know, I just really didn't like that decision. And then, Elena's boot at the start of the merge, that seemed really odd to me. And then there was the business with the 2 quitters, which is why they instituted the rule that from now on, if you quit the game in the jury phase, they decide whether or not you're part of the jury, because they were part of the jury, because that was the precinct that had been set up the one other time that had happened. And Fabio winning, I don't have anything really against the guy, but he, in my mind, he didn't really deserve that, because out of all the seasons that I've reviewed up until the point that you'll be seeing this video, I ranked him as the least deserving winner out of all of them. Not worst winner ever, okay, least deserving. There's a big difference. Yeah. But, I will be honest with you, because I've watched a lot of Big Brother since I've watched the season, now it doesn't seem as bad if you ask me, because I've said a few times, especially in my Woods Pod videos, what we typically call negative Survivor is actually average Big Brother, and yeah, you put this cast of the Big Brother house, you would have gotten a lot more typical reaction, and even then, as I've alluded to, there's a few groups of people out there that are causing a Marquesas type reaction with this season, where it's getting viewed a lot more positive, or to be a little bit fairer, just simply less negative, because other people have said that there's worse seasons than this, but we're not going to be able to completely forget this season, like with Big Brother 9, Survivor Thailand, because enough people are going to bring this season up for like a long time, I think. Yeah. So it wasn't that great, but you gotta get used to these lesser good additions to Survivor, you know? Now, Redemption Island. I enjoyed it when I first saw it, but let's be realistic here. I'm a Boston Rob fan, so of course I enjoyed it. Huh? Because Rob was in perfect control of the game from the beginning of the merge onward, minus the fact that Ashley kept winning those immunities, like right at the end. there it was just like the smoothest ride you could ever ask for, minus that one little bit, yeah. But on the rewatch, it has really no rewatch value because it's super predictable, even though this is not the most predictable season of Survivor ever, because let's face it, Borneo was a little more predictable than this, and then if you watch Survivor UK 2, right. And there are a couple of nice people on here, but they didn't really get that much chance to shine, because Philip, it's become obvious that a decent amount of what he was doing out there was, you know, just a character. And before you go, well, he's lying. Brad Culpepper also said that a little bit of what he did was as a character, though in his case, the vast majority of what he did in both of his seasons was actually just how he is. But yeah, there was a very different gameplay feel to him the second time he played versus the first time, okay? And that's true of Philip here. And then Andrea, like, I didn't think there was that much to her at first, but literally right before Caramoan started, I was looking back at her and I go, you know, if they bring back any one person from that tribe, heck, this season, I really hope it's her. And they did. And then there were some potential for a couple members on Zapatera, but of course, how the season played out, or simply the fact that Rob drew the Ometepe buff caused a lot of stuff not to happen, you know, but the rumor was, however, that this wasn't always supposed to be Boston Rob versus Russell. Originally it was supposed to be Richard Hatch versus Russell, but Richard was still either in prison or in house arrest. It's really complicated to see how that sentence of his went down. Like, if you listen to his video where he explains how all of this happened, man, dude, why on earth did I believe the profile of his that CBS set up? Yeah, like with Rob Cesternino, they really did a big slap in the face to him with their All-Stars edit, albeit Hatch's behavior there was more accurate, yeah. But yeah, it's not that good of a season on the rewatch, though the alumni have kind of helped it, but not really enough. Like, other seasons, their rankings have been affected because of the alumni, and here I say the alumni, based on what I've seen, have been positive, but I used to say that this season was better than Nicaragua. Now, if memory serves, I actually rank it below Nicaragua, so that says something. Right? I mean, like, sure, it was nice to see Boston Rob finally get the victory, but as I've said a couple of times on this channel, despite the fact that I am a Boston Rob fan, if you really look into it, you notice that I don't really like any of the seasons that he's on. And every season that Parv is on, I point out a bunch of problems. Right. And then, oh yeah, and gotta bring up Redemption Island here. Given how everybody was able to see what happened on Redemption Island, I felt like the twist just was way less impactful than it could have been, because you would have had that uncertainty. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, if people on the jury start showing up out of order, who says that they actually have to be at tribal council? Just set up a camera and a microphone and record the darn thing. The jury does not have to be at tribal council, okay? Right. Moving on to South Pacific. Now, even though this season on paper behaved a lot like Redemption Island, I enjoyed it a lot more, like with most people out there, because this, you know, was a pretty evenly matched season in the merged bit, because how each tribe seriously kept going back and forth between immunities, and how the first couple votes on each tribe were predictable, but the last few weren't as predictable. That was fun. And we had some good characters here. You know, you have Ozzy continuing his story, Coach continuing his story. We get the introduction to Cochrane, even though a lot of people don't like him. I'm kind of on him. And then we have Albert, Sophie, Jim as, you know, decent players. And then to most people's chagrin, you had another member of the Hans family appear on the show. And then even though, again, people were seeing what was going on in Redemption Island, it wasn't as big of a deal that they knew what was going on. Oh, sure, the fact that, what the heck is the Red Tribe again? Well, whatever, anyway. The Red Tribe, seeing that Christine was winning challenge after challenge, that kind of factored into their decision making, but hey, she could have lost any one of those duels, honestly, and then she would have actually gone with the Red Tribe if she had won that last duel anyway, so right. So I actually didn't really mind this season. I felt that it was good. We got excellent reactions from people, and when the Opolu people triumphed, sure, the weaker people ended up getting booted, but it wasn't as bad as when the Ometepe members were getting booted one by Rob, you know, because had Albert not tried to boot Sophie, the episode that Brandon was voted out, I honestly think Brandon would have gone anyway, and then they would have voted out Rick anyway, except it wouldn't have been Albert reluctantly voting out Rick, because he knows that if Ozzy makes it, they're doomed. It would have been, yeah, you, me, and Coach are all together. We'll get rid of Rick. Yeah. But, I do have a little bit of annoyance that Sophie ended up taking it, because I actually was rooting for Coach to win for this season. Sophie was actually my second choice, but I do want to preface that I hadn't seen Token Teens when I first saw this season. I had only seen HVV, and at the time, the only other reality show that I had seen besides Survivor was one season of The Amazing Race and one season of Top Chef. So, yeah, I just wasn't that familiar with reality TV, and I was still in high school when this season aired, so I think totally different now. So, now I bet if I was to rewatch this, I totally understand how Coach ended up floundering it, but I do remember saying, this season is great, all the way up until the end, but Sophie beat Coach, and that was kind of disappointing, but here's the funny thing about that situation. It wasn't that a top pick was beaten by someone who wasn't a top pick. Those final three, they were my top picks. That's literally the first time and only time that I've ever had all of my top picks make it all the way to the end. Although, if I had gone with the people that I had wanted to root for when I was reviewing Cambodia, I actually would have predicted the top 4 perfectly. Yeah. So, there was that bone of contention, but I'm sure I'm going to think differently of it when I rewatch that season at some point. Now, Wonderworld, well, as most of you know, I actually didn't really have a problem with Wonderworld. I was hooked to that season from day one, and just found myself really enjoying it, minus the fact that the men were dominating the battle of the sexes at first, because I supported the women for the first time in a battle of sexes season, because when I first saw Vanuatu, I supported the men. When I first watched Amazon, I was indifferent, albeit that's because I knew who won. Yeah. And, yeah, I did have Kim as my winner's pick from day one, but like with Survivor Palau, for some reason it seemed like most people were predicting the winner from day one. It's just weird how that came to happen. No, they weren't entirely picking the winner for Redemption Island, okay? A lot of that was just blind fanboyism, right? But I enjoyed it and was very satisfied with the outcome, albeit, given how that season was edited, had Kim not won... Oh dear. Right. Though I should probably watch that to get a little bit of read on some of those people and figure out exactly when it was that Chelsea lost all of her chances to win that game, yeah. And then Philippines, well... Again, I had the exact opposite reaction of the crowd, albeit I do want to say that all the pros that everyone gives Philippines, I noticed without anyone having to tell me. Returnees not being referred to as gods, returnees being so even with the other players that the fact that the two attorneys that made the merge, they weren't even considered as attorneys. They're just like, okay, yeah, you're part of the cast now. We're voting you out because you're a threat, or, oh, I don't like you because of one thing that you said to me and all that stuff. And you had no hugely obvious person that was guaranteed to make it to the end, although I did get a strong vibe from Denise that she was going to win this, but everybody was rooting for Malcolm or Denise to get to the end, although I misread the hype because I had been thinking that if Denise had made it to the end, she had the game locked, and that Malcolm could only win if he voted Denise out. It was the exact opposite. Yeah. But I was fine with either one of them winning, although I was really disappointed that at literally the last time that one of them could have been booted, they turned on each other, which was such a bummer because had they stayed together, they would have gotten rid of Lisa with the tiebreaker, and then the last member of Tandane would have gone, and, yeah. So why did I not like this as much as the crowd? Well, it's just little things that the cast did that ended up rubbing me the wrong way. Because, like, Abby, I could not stand her. RC, likewise, I couldn't stand her, even though I can't remember exactly what it was that she did. And the downgrading of Lisa and Scoopin', because, like, okay. After the first... few episodes of the show, the Tandane people that I had the most issues with were Pete and Artis due to the fact that they were setting themselves up to be villains. Abby hadn't quite gotten there yet, but she was getting there. You want to know who the Tandane members were that I had the least issues with once the season ended? Pete and Artis. Yeah. That says something when the people that you originally had issues with the most on a tribe become the people that you have no problem with by the end, because, yeah, what did those guys do that we haven't seen 1,000 times before? Nothing. Nah. What did Abby do that was unique? A lot. What did Lisa do that was unique? A fair amount. Did Scoopin' do a good job of adapting to a newer format? No! Did he, give his season any bit of, well, prestige, for lack of a better term? No! And I'll see, she was booted first chance that there was, so we didn't get any real thoughts from her, and that vote was really chaotic, if memory serves, yeah. But it wasn't just the Tandane people, okay? Because learning a few things that Jeff Kent does outside of, baseball and reality TV, great pal. And then there's the fact that Penner shot himself in the foot, even though other people have done that. Yeah, and there was the fact that a bunch of those girls on the Red Tribe ended up being kind of useless. Just, yeah, like, I did not click with this cast, whereas One World, I just clicked with them perfectly. Now, I want to make that clear, okay? This is a problem I have. Every pro that people have said about this season, I get. And I agree with you. And you gotta remember, one of my top picks won. Heck, it was the top pick. Okay? But if I have problems with something, I'm going to say it. And I'm sure that on a rewatch, I'll like the season better, okay? I'm sure of that. But you know me, this season has been the worst season for HVV for a long time for me, but I really do need to rewatch this along with Nicaragua at least, yeah. Uh-huh. So I think that about sums up all the major points that I needed to for these seasons. No, I'm not going to be making a big video for Caramoan onward. This was just filling in what little bits needed to be filled. You want to know my thoughts on Caramoan onward? You can just watch all the videos I've already uploaded. Everything is right there. And no, I'm not going to be putting the rankings for after HVV into the seasons before HVV. You're going to have to deal with two different lists. Sorry, but that's what you get when you watch a reality show out of order, and thankfully this show is the only one that I've watched watched seasons of out of order. Everything else has always been earliest to latest. There's also Survivor South Africa, but that's because for the longest time you couldn't find any of it. Right.